Aloha Hawaii. Thank you so much for tuning in to 94.3 FM and 690 AM, The Answer. I'm here with two guests talking about soccer and involvement in the community. So tell us your first names and what you do in Hawaii.
I'm Yvonne Bennett. Alex.
I'm Alex Bennett. Yep. And we run Keiki Kicks, the kids soccer program. Primarily sort of for 1 to 8 year olds, or from 1 year old upwards, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's like 1 to 8 year olds in our park program, and then we do a little bit older because we're in a couple of elementary schools as well.
So. Wow, in elementary schools. Okay, so you're involved in elementary schools, so involved in soccer, and then this morning you guys were in a parade. Tell me about that.
Yeah.
Our daughter goes to Kuapa, the KCAA preschool in Wahine, and so they had an opportunity to walk in the parade, and she was so excited. So we did that, in the Hawaii Kite Parade.
Any costume that she was in?
No, just red and green.
Yeah, red and green.
Reindeer ears. So it was really cute. All the kids were so excited.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's really
feeling
cool.
very festive now, so it's
definitely in the Christmas spirit now.
Feeling very Christmassy. Yeah.
Well, that's great. I was in my car driving to an event on Thanksgiving, and my phone on YouTube Music just automatically gave me a Christmas song.
Really?
I didn't cue it to do that. I had my playlist, and all of a sudden it snuck one in there. I was like, okay, it's Christmas.
Oh, really? No, my daughter's been asking to listen to Christmas music since Halloween finished.
Yeah.
Because she keeps asking, like, oh, when's Christmas? When's Christmas? And I had to be like, well, it's Halloween, and then Thanksgiving, and then Christmas, and then so once Halloween finished, she was like, can we listen to Christmas music now?
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And she's only 3, so
wow, a vocabulary at 3 already.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she can talk her
opinions
ear
to
off.
go as well. Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, very cool. Well, if you're just now tuning in with us on the radio, I'm your host, Representative Elijah Perrick, and I've got 2 guests with us, and we're talking about the community in Hawaii. So tell us, how did you guys start the desire to want to help our community?
Well, I am born and raised in Hawaii, and I grew up in a family of teachers. So both my parents are teachers, and then I became a teacher when I moved back home from England. And so kind of like that working with kids has kind of come almost naturally, and just kind of like part of like us.
Part of who you are.
Yeah, and then so yeah. Sorry, what was the question again?
Yeah. Well, let's kind of back up a little bit from there. You said you came back from England. I know, Alex, you're from England. How did you guys meet?
Well, so I did study abroad. I did 1 year at UH, and then I was living in those Atherton dorms just because I, kind of wanted to like have a college feel, but like I was still at home, but so my roommate, she came back one day and she's like, I think I'm going to go to England. And I was like, okay, I'll go too. And so that was like the thought process that went into that. And then so I ended up studying abroad in England. And that's when I met him. And so I graduated from the university in London, and then worked there.
Yeah, you worked there
so I was there for
5 years.
5 years. Wow. And then I made him come home because I was missing the sun.
The sun doesn't really shine where I'm from.
Wow.
It's cold and grey and damp sort of most of the year round. So she dragged me kicking and screaming over this part of the world. So
Who was kicking and screaming? Which one?
Yeah.
Nobody really.
It's a wonderful place really. But it's very different from home for me. But we've been here 12 years now. Yeah, so it's kind of goes really quickly. Yeah, there's no seasons as such. It's just good weather year round. So it's kind of the passing of time just kind of goes very fast. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so that's kind of how we sort of ended up here, and we just we like it. We've got 2 kids ourselves, so it's a great place to raise kids. A lot for them to do.
Yeah, we wouldn't want to be raising
outside.
Kids necessarily in London.
Yeah,
the city,
It's kind of.
I know some people do it, but
I
prefer Hawaii.
It's got all the hustle and bustle. Yeah, it's a nice sort of slow pace of life, and there is a great community here, which I think is really hard to match anywhere. Like nowhere I've been in the world has sort of got that sort of Ohana sort of community like Hawaii, really, which makes it. I think that's what makes it such a special place, as well as the beauty.
Yeah.
So where where we live in Hawaii, it's a nice community, and wherever you go really on the island, it's a people look out for each other and sort of think about their neighbours and think about if they can sort of help people out. So it's a really special place, I think, for that, Hawaii.
That's a great point. You mentioned that Hawaii's got this strong sense of ohana and community.
Yeah,
I told
absolutely.
my mom about this opportunity to play flag football on Thanksgiving morning, and she said, "I've never heard of that, Elijah. These like events that everybody's invited to all over the place." She grew up in Los Angeles, and it was very like your family hangs out with your family on Thanksgiving. So, yeah.
That's it. So it's a very transient place as well, Hawaii is, but it's but there's always sort of people sort of coming in, and they're sort of welcomed, I think, with open arms, really, which is what I found, really. Yeah.
So you've raised in England, you come to Hawaii, you describe Hawaii as this place where there's open arms. What would you say is the bigger culture shock going from England to Hawaii?
Probably just the hot weather, really. I'm used to it being
He's very
being
sweaty
cold
now.
So I have to take a few showers a day, but it's
You just jump in the Hawaii Kai River, I guess.
Yeah, well, the ocean, it's right there, so you just...
So, I mean, probably just the weather really is a big thing, and then the food's different, and just sort of like, pretty much like lots of things really. But the weather makes a big difference because you can do so much more really. You don't need to sort of be indoors, sort of cooped up year round, because you have, in the winter it gets dark at sort of 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So that was another factor why we sort of decided to
really
move here. And
sad to you leave for work in the morning in the dark because the sun hasn't really come up yet, and then you come home and it's dark, or when you're leaving work it's dark in London, and then so it's like you never see the sun.
You don't.
The sun is the reason I wanted to move home.
That was a big reason. But there's other. I mean, the food. I love the food as well, and all that kind of the culture and stuff. So
here,
here, and so that's kind of different. That was different from what I was used to, but I mean, I love all of that. I'm foodie. We're both sort of foodies, aren't we? Really,
I don't know if I would say we're foodies, but we like food.
Yeah, we like food. We like to eat. Yeah,
we like to eat.
Nice. Well, that's a good desire.
Yeah.
If you're tuning in for the first time on the radio, you're listening to Representative Elijah Perrick interviewing the founders of Keiki Kicks, and they're unpacking how they met, how they came to Hawaii, and really the benefit that the community is getting from Keiki Kicks. So tell us, what was the first idea that said, let's create Keiki Kicks, let's help the community get together and soccer?
Well, I mean, I think sort of because we had a young, you were pregnant at the time, weren't you?
Yeah, when everything shut down, because it was like, it was spring break, because I'm also a middle school special education teacher. So it was like it was
running Keiki Kicks.
Spring break, and like school shut down, or everything shut down, the world shut down, and then we had a baby, and then so he got let go of his job, and we were kind of thinking like what to do, and then kind of like a year after we had her, we started Keiki.
It was a bit less than that, and then we just kind of thought that. I mean, I think COVID sort of taught everyone that we do really need each other. We really need community, and you can't just be in a room sort of on your own, working from home or this, that, and the other. So people need to sort of get out, and I think soccer is it's a community sport. Like where I'm from, everyone supports a team. And people go to games or watch it, and I'd say like there's not too many people I know back home that don't. That sort of don't have an interest in soccer, really.
When you would always, because I mean, he's played soccer like the whole time I've known him, like just for fun.
Yeah.
Like I mean, he was in a men's league for a little while when we first moved here, and then.
But it's.
He's always said like, soccer's so like easy, like anyone can play it because like all you need is a ball. Like you don't really need like loads and loads. Like I mean, you can even make do without like goals or anything or like. Feel you just need a ball and you can like play and have fun.
Yeah, exactly.
So it kind of got like formed out of like his like love and passion for soccer and like both of our like love and passion for like working with kids. And so we kind of like combined it. And then also like because our daughter was born and there weren't many things to do, especially because of COVID, I think. But there wasn't a lot for like 1-year-olds, so that's kind of why we're like, oh, well, let's start from one, you know.
So crawling with the soccer ball?
Yeah, so we have some crawling. So honestly, our daughter was not walking because she walked late. She didn't walk till like almost 16 months. I think it was like 15 months she decided to walk. But so when we started it, she wasn't walking. Just kind of holding our hands, you know, so we would, you know, walk with her, or sometimes she would just crawl with the ball or whatever. But we've had a few other like students who like aren't quite walking yet or learn to walk while they're like in our classes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so we kind of look at that sort of like the younger kid classes, like the 1 and 2 year old classes, kind of like a soccer sort of play group, really, if you will. And yeah, it's good. I mean, it's really sort of important for them to sort of socialise with kids their own age and sort of and get used to sort of following directions from someone other than mum and dad. And so it's kind of like getting them used to sort of taking it in
like
turns and listening and being in a group and sharing and that is I think sort of as valuable as anything really than actually
like it's more important. It's almost more important to us that they like learn those skills and not just soccer. You know what I mean? Like, like I mean, soccer's cool, but it's kind of more like the medium used to like do all these other
for the
important life skills that they need
younger kids,
as they grow up.
Yeah, absolutely, So it's
and it's great for the parents too, because especially for our Ohana, what we call our Ohana class, which is for our 1 to 2 year olds, we kind of require parent participation, so that it gets the parents involved with their kid, but also like with each other. So like some of our parents then like get in touch with each other and start to have play dates together, or like you know they hang out after soccer, or like you know we've done a couple of things where like we've gone with Keiki Kicks like to the zoo, you know, like we just say like, oh, we're gonna have like a Keiki Kicks play date or whatever, and so like meet at the zoo or meet at the aquarium. The aquarium was like a lot of fun. We've done a beach day together.
So is this a town thing? When I was driving to Kapolei 24 Hour Fitness, I noticed there was a Keiki Kick sign at the left-hand turn getting into Kamakana-Ali'i. So where are you guys located?
All over.
Sort of all over the place, really. Yeah, we have classes everywhere from sort of Ever Beach to like Hawaii Kai, sort of Windward Side, Kailua Kaneohe, Waipio, Aiea, Town, Kaimiki, and
we're not quite. I think Ever Beach is the furthest west we are at the moment, and then like Waipio is like the furthest like north. Waipio, like Kaneohe, so we haven't quite. We're gonna do a North Shore class in like Wailua, but then like we had quite a few people interested, but like just not quite enough to make it like So we hope to eventually maybe.
Yeah.
That's good. And you guys are the sole leaders? You have a whole team of leaders?
So we're kind of like the main people right now. We recently did hire somebody to help us with some of the like admin stuff, just because also being a full-time teacher, it's like a big job. And then we have like quite a bunch
of coaches.
We have a bunch of who are fantastic. We love our coaches, and they're amazing, and they love working with kids.
Yeah, so, absolutely. Yeah,
that's great. That's amazing. I have a friend. His name's Austin. He is a prior HPU soccer player. Like,
cool. Yeah.
I think he was in Division 1, and he was like the starter player, and he did some tryouts to go pro. It wasn't his thing, but now he's coaching. Like, that's his income.
Yeah.
So do you have any kind of like professional or really competitive background in this, or more of just a hobby?
A little bit of both.
Yeah, we do.
I'd say like most of our coaches
have played
soccer in some way, shape, or form, and then we've had some
ex-professional,
so
who have coached with us, and but the main thing is if they enjoy sort of working with kids and enjoy that, have that sort of temperament to work with like a 1-year-old and then also like sort of an 8-year-old as well. They have that kind of ability to sort of communicate with them and enjoy doing it and enjoy being there. Then that's the main thing. And then we have like a whole sort of like curriculum that we use, and so they learn something sort of different sort of most weeks, and they'll sort of like build on those skills as well. Yeah. So then they'll have that kind of foundation of skills. So when they get older, and if they want to pursue that sport, then they'll have those foundational skills, so they can sort of take it further, and they know kind of what they're doing when they join a team and where to stand and different sort of tactics. And
so we're not like competitive. It's kind of just more the like foundational basic skills. And like trying to make it fun and enjoyable, so they're not. I feel like put off the sport, sometimes when it gets too competitive too quickly, it kind of discourages kids, right? But this is kind of more like a relaxed, like everyone is. Not like everyone's winners, but kind of like, you know, everyone gets to succeed and try, and that's kind of like more of what we're about than like you have to be the best soccer player ever, you know.
Wow.
That's right. Yeah,
well, that's great. If you're just now tuning in on the radio for the first time, I'm your host, Representative Elijah Perrick, and I've got two guests with me in the studio, and we're talking about Keiki Kicks and its benefit to the community in Hawaii. Usually I'd give you a phone number at this time to call in and ask questions, but because this is a pre-recording, you can call our office at 808-586-8490, and that's how you can reach this office. So let's dial in more about the lessons learned from soccer. So basically, if certain students do no extracurricular activity, they just get C's in class all throughout high school, and they have some questionable friends, sometimes they can live a more challenging life. How do you guys believe Keiki Kicks can help Hawaii overall, knowing that these kids can learn lessons from you guys and be more productive citizens?
Like long term, like if
like outstanding citizens, you know, they're financially stable, they're helping their families out, they're not, you know, involved in crime.
Yeah, well, I think I mean, lessons you learn in sport can sort of carry through sort of different aspects of life, really. I mean, you need that sort of discipline, really, when you play sport at any level, really, to sort of, you know, just showing up on time, things like that, trying your best. Sort of, you know, you're not always going to win, so how do you take losing, things like that. Realizing that it's okay to sort of lose sometimes, but how do you sort of react to that? So those sort of lessons can help you sort of in any kind of walk of life, whatever you do, and I think they're important life lessons, particularly learning them so young, as young as they are. So learning, you know, you can't always get your own way when you're sort of, you know, whatever age you are, when you're 2 years old or when you're 32 years old, it's still kind of learning how to sort of deal with that, really.
I think all my colleagues should enroll in your class.
They could, like, especially when we like, because we gradually build up to a scrimmage, it's like watching them, because usually we start off, most practices, every kid has a ball. And then when we kind of introduce the idea of a scrimmage where there's only one ball, it can be very difficult for the kids emotionally sometimes. And then, you know, it's interesting though, watching them like gradually get used to it. You know, and it sometimes takes a little while, and it's okay, you know, because everything's process, and and it's kind of like we encourage, like, parents. Sometimes it's like just keep doing it, you know, like
repetition.
They'll get it. They'll start to learn it, you know. Even just like getting onto the field, sometimes they're so scared to, like, you know, go and participate in the activity. And again, it's like just the kind of the repetition and like the persistence. And like kind of teaching them, you know, just keep trying something, you know.
I think, I mean, a lot of them sort of, when they first start with us, if they start with us when they're sort of like 1 or 2 years old, they kind of, you know, are often kind of, oh, what's all this? There's so much going on. It's like sort of sensory overload. So we try and sort of gradually sort of like get them to do a little bit more during the class or as the weeks go by, and then they would sort of like go from being like really shy and timid to being like really kind of like coming out of their shell and, you know, making all these new friends and sort of really like enjoying sort of being there, and it's like something
we have kids like who like the first class they are with us, they're like crying, they don't want to do it, they're like on the side, and then like eventually they're like the star soccer player on the field. So like just within like a couple of weeks, you know, like
absolutely,
just because, you know, like what is it called?
The competition, the
Camaraderie, like the
Yeah.
encouragement from the coaches, as well as like, because like I feel like the other kids also kind of like encourage them, the other parents encourage them, you know, so it's like, it's like our environment isn't to like put anybody down to, you know, and so it's like, yeah, all of that encouragement and just keep trying again, you know, like,
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. There's a spectrum when it comes to like people needing encouragement and need to keep moving forward, and then the other side of like, you know, we don't want to coddle people in not trying. And I appreciate you guys encouraging people that need to be encouraged.
Yeah.
When I was a flag football referee, one of the players walked up to me and said, "What's the score, referee?" And I leaned over and said to him, "Oh, this is a game where we don't keep score."
Yeah.
And then he looked up to me and said, "You're just saying that because you don't know the score." I did know the score, but he didn't even know the score because that league didn't keep score. Basically, it was like up till I think 7 years old didn't keep score, and after that, then we started keeping score. Because I guess they needed to figure out the fundamentals and things like that.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Yeah, that's a good way of doing it.
But it's like I hope like, you know, the kids like because they've accomplished, you know, it's like especially those ones that are like so shy and then they get it, you know, towards the end. Like I feel like those ones will remember that lesson, like, oh, if I just keep trying or if I keep doing it, you know, like everything will kind of like be okay. You know, it's like the little engine that could, right? Like, you know, that's like kind of like a lesson I would want them to like keep with them as they've grow up. You know,
absolutely, yeah.
Like it might be difficult now, but you know, I'll get it.
Yeah.
That's good. So on that same theme of keep trying, like Hawaii is kind of difficult to live in. I went to the grocery store to buy food for a potluck, and I spent $20 on like 5 apples and a cantaloupe. And I don't know, that's expensive.
Yeah, that sounds about right, yeah.
So what do you guys think we need to improve in Hawaii?
What do we need to improve in Hawaii?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
And you've got 40 minutes, so you can go as deep as you want.
Yeah.
Well, like, so something that like I really love about like living in Hawaii is like so much is free. Like you can go to the beach and it's free, or go to the park and it's free, you know, whereas not every place you go, like the beach or the parks are free, you know, necessarily. And
so like when we go back home to England, or home for me, I mean, it's home now, but you know what I mean. When we go back to England, we're often spending money just to sort of like entertain the kids, like taking them to like a park or like a theme park or something like that. But there is more free stuff here, I'd say. Yeah.
This is somewhat of a joke. Is it because the Queen owns the park?
Well, I feel like it's like the parking lot. Like you have to pay for like the parking lot, and it's so expensive. Like even to go down to the his like family home that he grew up in Bournemouth, it's not too far from the beach, but like so we can luckily like walk from his parents' house to the beach. But like otherwise you would have to pay for parking, like all that parking like right along the beach you have to pay for. Whereas like here, like there's a lot of beaches where you don't have to pay for parking. But I feel like that like making sure like those spaces in Hawaii are maintained for us to use would be like, you know, because like because Hawaii is such a place about family and community, like making sure those places are safe,
kept nice and
you know, they're maintained.
Safe,
Like I think that would be something I'd like to see continue, and like you know, I mean, in some instances, like improve like facilities too. So it's like that there's nice, like especially having a child and like potty training. It's like figuring out restroom situations sometimes limits like where you take them. When at that certain stage when they're still learning how to go to the potty. Sorry, I know that's kind of like a
this is real.
It's real.
I mean, a lot of parents I think the same thing.
It's the same thing like with our classes. We try to find parks where we make sure that there's a
bathroom and
restroom. Because we know that feeling of when they gotta go, they gotta go.
You guys, you know, have keiki kicks all over the island, and so you use different parks, different restrooms. Do you find that the higher income towns have better restrooms, or because they're all parks and recreation, city and county, they all have the same standard of very dirty?
That's a good question.
It's a good question. I think it's really the same from my experience. I think the same kind of across the board, really. It doesn't really make much difference, kind of which area. I think it's all kind of the same, really. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that it's so dirty. I grew up here since I was 8 years old, and I've thought it's been pretty dirty since I grew up here. Different mayors and stuff, they'll run for office saying, I want to help clean up the towns, I want to help clean up homeless. And when they get in, they have this great vision. And when they have their cabinet of, individuals that have been confirmed by the city council, those guys have great, enthusiasm, and they want to help implement. And then it goes down further to their team members, like the Department of Parks and Recs, all of those team members, they got to get on board with the director. He's got to get on board with the mayor.
Yeah.
So
it's a lot of chain of command and the trickling down.
I come from a military background where if you don't perform, you get fired. So if you basically get evaluations every couple weeks, and if your evaluations aren't good, we process you out. And then there's a huge pipeline of people who want to be in the Air Force who will try hard. And so I think the county could improve by maybe having more of a turnover of employees that don't need to be there versus employees that want to be there and passionately want to keep those bathrooms clean.
Yeah. And even the playground equipment.
Well, the playground equipment,
There's some parks where it's the same play equipment since we've started Keiki Kicks has been out of order.
It hasn't been fixed.
And it hasn't been fixed. So that's 2.5 years. It hasn't been fixed, which is kind of unfortunate because for the kids, they want to play on the playground, and it's nice. Like I said, it's great that it's free. So I understand kind of things taking a long time because money, is always a thing.
It's never as simple as just getting it done. There's the whole process it has to go through.
But it would be nice if some of these playgrounds were fixed, so then the kids had slides and whatever to play on.
Yeah. Also the roads as well, I feel is a thing that sort of, whenever I go over a pothole, I'm reminded of that. It's just kind of
And please keep the county and state accountable. If that pothole breaks your tire or breaks your rim, you can file however you get that repaired. Keep that receipt, and then you can give that receipt to the county and the state.
Really?
And they can reimburse you.
Oh, I had that happen years ago, and I never thought to do that.
Well, maybe you still have the receipt.
Well, I doubt I have the receipt. It was
when you got that flat
in
tire.
2012, I think it was.
Yeah.
So it was a while ago.
But that's good. I didn't know that. That is good. Yeah. I mean, again, it's hard to keep. For people to sort of get these things actioned and done. But just things that you notice really. When especially when it rains, kind of. It sort of damages the road and makes it harder to drive when it's so the roads is another one I'd say.
That's good. The city and county roads department, so that falls underneath the Department of Facility Maintenance, and there's a specific roads department. I've submitted so many requests for speed bumps, pothole repairs, an elongated speed bump so that people can't just drive around the speed bump. And I usually get an email back from their secretary saying, we'll put out a survey, we'll work on it. I've been in office for a year now, and I can't think of a single repair that they've done to follow up with my request. So to me, it's super frustrating. I mean, I've knocked on 8,000 doors, listened to thousands of people give me their input. I implement it by talking to these department heads saying, please implement. A year goes by.
And nothing happens.
Yeah, and so...
that's frustrating.
Yeah, it is. So thank you guys for repeating the request. And my office isn't going to give up. And I pray that all of my neighbor offices throughout this building aren't going to give up either. So, but there are some really responsive people, like Ed Sniffen. He's the director of the Department of Transportation. I've got his cell phone number. He'll respond to my texts.
Oh, nice.
He's responsive. And any state-related issue, he's on it. If it's a county-related issue, let's pray for improvement.
Trying to think anything else other than that. It's a pretty great place to live.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking of childcare.
Yeah.
Oh, childcare. Yeah,
it's
of course. Yeah.
Something that's I think very difficult for parents in Hawaii, especially because being in Hawaii, both parents usually need to be working to afford the $20 5 apples and cantaloupe. But childcare is very, very expensive. And because public school doesn't start till 5. It's really hard. Well, first, like, I mean, I have comments about maternity leave as well.
Right. We have half an hour, so let's talk about it all.
Because maternity leave is like, especially being a state employee, it's like, you know, your doctor can sign you off for like, I think it's like 8 weeks if you have a normal birth, and like 12 weeks if you have, or something like that. It's still very short if you have a C-section. And I took extra family leave and things like that, but I blew through like all of my sick leave. So like now this year, like I have no sick leave. I just have my like normal yearly allotted ones, but because my kids have been sick, I was sick, like I've kind of used it already. And so it's like, it's just interesting that like, it's frustrating because it's like you get all this leave, but then I have to like use it all. Whereas like a man who's like a colleague of mine or whatever, like he'll never have to like use up all of his sick leave because he doesn't have to use it all to take maternity leave or whatever.
And deal with kids as well. Yeah.
But I mean, not that dads don't take off time like for paternity leave, but I feel like it's different being like the woman and like like there was physically probably like no way I could have gone back to work after 12 weeks after having my C-section. Like, because I was still like in
recovering.
pain. Like, I was still recovering after that. Like, I couldn't have gone back to work.
So, yeah, it's hard.
But it's hard because then it's like, I mean, like we were lucky that we were able, that I could take some family leave and then use up my sick leave, but then also then take some time unpaid. But it's hard because I'm sure there's other families where it's like, okay, the mom needs to get back to work in order to pay. And then for the mom to be at work, the child needs to go somewhere. And then that's expensive for like, just daycare is fairly expensive. And then preschool is quite expensive. And I know there are some like childcare connection with the state. And
so there are some things, but that, I mean,
it's limited to like you have to be, you know, under a certain threshold, and I feel like that threshold is very, very low for being, you know, especially for being in Hawaii, I think, like, because
So let's put numbers on it. So let's say you prefer that there's paid family leave or maternity leave for anybody who makes less than $90,000 a year as a combined household, and that paid family leave would be 12 weeks.
I mean, that would be nice.
So adjust the numbers if you think, because you just kind of give me an idea of what the community is saying, what you and your friends.
Well, I think that we should have like paid like maternity and even paternity leave, because, and like especially as a state employee, I don't feel like that leave should come out of like the leave I banked, or you know what I mean. Like that shouldn't be how I get my paid leave. Because I've known a teacher she was like new to teaching, so she didn't have a bank of sick leave, and then like so even her maternity leave, I think part of it was unpaid because she didn't even have enough sick leave for the whatever minimum. I forget. I'm sorry, I forget the numbers. I should know this because I've done it twice now. Yeah. So I would like at least 12 weeks like paid maternity leave would be good. In England, I know it's like hard to compare because they have like a different like health insurance, like because they have the national health insurance, and then I'm not necessarily for that or against it, but like they do.
You do get very good maternity.
Yeah, you often get like 6 months paid maternity leave.
6 months,
and then you a lot of companies give the mom like an option of like then you could be out for another 6, but it's either not paid or like they have like, then I think it's more like up to the company, I think, for like if it goes beyond, but it's generally six months, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, wow. So let's have that in perspective while we're talking about like put yourself in the employer's position.
Oh yeah. No.
So I interviewed somebody for a job to work on this team. And she had shared with me that, she had just had a baby, I think 2 months ago. And so I asked her, okay, how would that work? You driving from your side of the island all the way to the capital in town. She would need to, breastfeed throughout the day, and then she'd need to be home by 4 or 5. How do you guys process being the employer, and then you've got this candidate wanting to have a job versus, a guy who's not going to experience those things.
Oh no, I totally get it. Yeah. But I feel like we're lucky in like the type of job that we are, because we actually have some moms coaching for us, and they bring their kids.
Oh wow.
So it's
things,
so it kind of like, I mean, because of the type of work that we do and the work that we have our employees do, like it's a little bit more flexible, I think, than like a traditional like office job or something where like it's probably not the most professional setting to bring your child, you know? So we're lucky in that sense. So we do have some moms that bring their kids.
Some of our coaches that bring their kids,
Yeah, I've definitely coached classes with my baby strapped to me.
Yeah.
That's great. My parents would hike with us strapped to them up until like, I think we were 2 years old.
Yeah.
And then I think by then we were like, all right, try to walk now.
Yeah. So...
but yeah, it's hard for the employee and employer as well. Like how to,
and even like our admin assistant, she's a mom too, and but she kind of
she
sought out like a job where it is more flexible.
Yeah.
So like, you know, if her kids are homesick or whatever, she can like, you know, it's
she has that
flexibility.
relative flexibility.
So.
Like teleworking.
Yeah.
Okay, that would be a great alternative. Like, give the mom the option to telework during. Okay.
I think teleworking, that sort of, obviously that was like sort of brought in more and more during COVID, and I think that's a good option for a lot of people, really. If you have kids, then it's helpful. But then we have kids and we try and do work at home, and it's like nigh impossible, isn't it, to get anything done when you've got the two.
It's hard,
little ones around.
Yeah. Well, that's why I feel like if the cost of childcare could go down in some way, shape, or form, but I don't know how. Like, I don't know how to solve the problem.
Hire 12-year-olds to watch your.
I know. Yeah,
that's what. Babysitter. So is the issue mostly with across the board? All moms have this problem, or certain companies provide paid family leave, and so it's a matter of them finding that job that offers it?
Well, I feel like most of my friends are teachers, or like nurses, or you know, like So I don't.
So they were in the same boat as you.
Yeah, they're often in the same boat as me. Yeah,
like experience what you experienced. That's kind of how they sort of explained it.
Yeah, we know a few people who have been lucky with like the companies they've worked for and the maternity leave offered.
That's great. The Air Force provides that.
Yeah.
For the mom and the dad.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And then in Bristol Hospice, I used to be employed there. They had, I think, some sort of program, because they would tell me, "Oh, okay, nurse so and so is busy, or she's not working right now because she's having a baby."
Yeah.
Because that's been interesting to like balance, especially like going back to teaching too, like finding time to pump as well, because even though I know my son is like over a year, but I'm still breastfeeding, and so finding the time at work to like pump is really hard, especially when you have classrooms of children.
Recess.
So that's when my recess and my lunch is when I do it, but then there's still like all the other things that teachers need to do too, so it's difficult, but we get it done.
Has the Hawaii State Teachers Association encouraged you guys to lobby us to introduce these bills?
Yes, I think so. They I remember when I had my first, there was some talk about like more like the paid the maternity leave being separate from like the sick leave, but I'm not sure what came of that. I didn't really follow up with it, especially because then COVID happened and all of that, so things were weird at that time.
And is paid family leave synonymous with maternity leave?
Like paid family leave? Oh, and within the DOE, you mean? Or
just in general, are those two terms synonymous to you guys?
Well, because there's lots of other instances I feel like you would need like paid like family leave. Like my dad recently just lost his dad, so my grandpa. But like my dad did take family leave to like take care of him. So there's like those or like even like my mom went to help because my nephew was going to have surgery on the mainland, and so she went to help my brother. and I think she took family leave
she?
for that. I'm not sure. Yeah, but like so I feel like family leave could cover like other things, or I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. When I worked at Bristol Hospice, they had I think it was I'm paraphrasing, but grief leave because I was the chaplain. There was nurses, caregivers, social workers, doctors. We're all providing palliative care for people who are about to pass away. And when our family was passed away, we need time to process that, so we're not carrying that into our patients' homes. And so there's definitely a variety of leave.
Yeah.
How does it work in England? Like all of this, do you paid family leave, taxes, healthcare?
Oh yeah, it's kind of different from what I know. It's I think the legal amount you get, I think, is 26. Is it 26 or 27 days off a year you get, which is inclusive of all like what we call bank holidays, what you call like state, federal holidays, what you call them bank holidays in the UK. So you get 26 or 27 days off a year.
Like everybody, no matter private or public?
Wow. Public and private, I believe. I always did when I was working there, and so you get a good amount of time off, and paternity leave you get. I'm not sure about the numbers, but speak to my friends who've had kids, you get more over there. But
that's awesome.
But it's all different. Like it's all socialised healthcare as well. So I mean, that's different. You don't get health insurance over there, so it's.
I think that there's some options to get like private.
You can get private, you can, but some companies.
But it's not like
private.
the norm.
It's not the norm, though. But
companies don't have to provide like health insurance. Whereas like here, it's like if you're employed, if you have employees that work whatever.
Over 20 hours a week for a month or whatever it is, then you get you have to provide them with health insurance.
Whereas that's not like a thing in England.
Yeah, which of course is another expense for employers to pay for, and it's just different. It's a different sort of different way of doing things, but
that's good. If you're tuning in for the first time on the radio and you're driving home in traffic, you're listening to State Representative Elijah Perrick interview two folks about Keiki Kicks and their involvement in our state. We've talked about paid family leave, we've talked about traffic, we've talked about the Department of Parks and Recs, and let's dial in a little bit more about the healthcare system in England compared to Hawaii's system. You grew up in Hawaii, you grew up in England. Tell me the pros and cons and the pros and cons.
Okay. Well, pros and cons of...
and like where you want Hawaii to go.
Where I want Hawaii to go. I mean, in the UK, it's if you want to see a doctor, then you can't often see a doctor that day. It's kind of hard. There's like a massive waiting list.
Oh my.
Good thing about here is if you want to see a doctor, you generally can that day, which I think is that's a really good bonus. Something I like, obviously.
What about like the ER?
So if you
could go to the
if you like break your arm, like I broke my arm before, and you go to, that's kind of the same, but you just don't have a big medical bill. But you get sort of seen like pretty instantly then. But the NHS is like National Health Service, what we call it, is just, it's hard to kind of like, there's not really the resources there really. It's hard and it's stretched, and it's kind of stretched thin really. But I mean it's I think the benefit of over here is just seeing a doctor. You see them kind of straight away really, which is good. The other side of the coin is that you obviously have to pay. You have to have insurance for that, and you don't know how much that medical bill is going to be necessarily. And so if you have to have a surgery, then that's going to be you just don't know how much you're going to be paying, even though you need that surgery. So that's kind of something I had to sort of get used to when I moved over here. What would you say if I have anything to add to that?
Before you start, tell me how you want Hawaii to get better. Like, where's the need of improvement for that?
How Hawaii could get better.
Should it shift over to that England model, or how can we improve in our own model?
That's a hard question, really. I mean, because there's good and bad for both. I mean, I'd like to not have as big medical bills, but then that's just the system that we're in.
Or even maybe knowing your bill
Up front
instead of after.
Knowing it up front instead of after, and then like sort of knowing why a bill is what it is, really, because we just get a bill and it's like, $32.50. It's like, well, why was it that much, or why was it like $250? Like, why was it that? So it's like knowing if there's like a scale that we could see that they're like, they're matching it up to that. Okay, then that's how much I've got to pay. That's how they kind of work it out. But I feel like we don't really see like why a bill is that amount, if that makes sense. Yeah. I mean, I grew up with the National Health Service, so I saw the good and the bad, really. I mean, I like the fact that it's you just go to the doctor, you don't have to pay anything. But I didn't like having to, if you're feeling really ill, you're feeling really sick, you can't go and see a doctor. That's pretty rough. So you might be able to go in like 2 days' time. It's like, well, I need to see a doctor now. I'm sick now, and yeah. What would you say, Yvonne?
Yeah, so like, I mean, I suffered from pretty bad asthma, and I was like, I mean, I have it like pretty well managed now, but like, especially when I was like,
when we were living in the city.
Yeah, when we were living in the city, it was pretty bad, and like, I had like seen like specialists here who like came up with like a treatment plan where it's like, like you take certain medicines, and then so I think I went to see a doctor in England, and I was like, this is my treatment plan that my doctor in America came up with. Like, can I have these drugs? And like, because of the way the NHS is structured, I had to go through their like protocols. Like we have to try one medicine for, like, I couldn't just like take the medicines that like, my doctor here had like decided was best, and because I had like tried different things, and then like, it was kind of like I had to do it all over again, which I guess kind of makes sense, but it was kind of frustrating because it's like, even here, like if I see like an urgent care doctor, instead of like my regular doctor, they're kind of like, oh, well, what does your regular doctor do? You know what I mean? Like, so I feel like it was frustrating to me, especially because I'm like, okay, this is like my 6th chest infection this year. Can I just have what works, please? Like, so that was frustrating to me. But, I mean, yeah. Yeah. And then, the like seeing your doctor when you want to see them, that was also weird to me.
Yeah, especially like having the kids now, because they get sick, every week, sort of thing. Yeah. They're at school.
Yeah,
so
well, and
like
our pediatrician here, he's great, and
he's great. Yeah.
He'll like usually like make a space to see them if they're sick that day. Yeah.
But I mean, I was thinking, well, like if we're in England having to see the doctor, like the amount that we have to see them over here, because our daughter, she gets ear infection. She's had quite a few of them, so she gets them like, I don't know, every year a few times.
She's had quite a few, yeah.
So it's like going and see it, and that sort of thing. Like, especially with kids, like if they're like kind of really need to see a doctor, like really need to go and see them one today, kind of thing,
Instead of in 3 days.
Instead of in 3 days, yeah, that's right.
Interesting. Yeah. So it kind of sounds like you guys are leaning towards Hawaii's system's better because it's more accessible. There's imperfections. You'd like the cost to be more transparent. So I have some colleagues here that are elected, and they introduce bills that would make Hawaii's healthcare system all state funded. So we'd all pay some taxes into a big pot, and that pot gets redistributed to all the state hospitals. It sounds like if we did that, we'd kind of have an England model. And if we had the England model, perhaps one of the side effects would be slowness.
Possibly.
Could be, yeah. Could be.
So do you guys think I should vote yes or no on that bill?
I don't know if I want to make that decision. I think I know how I would vote.
How would you vote? So pretend you're a representative of Hawaii Kai. How would you vote?
Well, I would want to like ask other people before I vote.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
I value people helping other people. I value that kind of collective community mindset. But at the same time, valuing people's independence and people being allowed to use their money where they best see fit. So if there's someone who's willing to health food and they want to exercise a lot, sleep well, and eat the right foods, and they steward their body to where their medical bills are lower, and there's another person who maybe they eat Twinkies for breakfast and Dunkin' Donuts for lunch and L&L for dinner, and they expect everybody else to pay for their, triple bypass surgery. I don't think that's fair.
Yeah, and that's what happens in the UK, because that's another sort of drawback, is if someone doesn't look after themselves, then it's the taxpayer that fits the bill. If they're just that's kind of how it is. That's one of the drawbacks.
Yeah,
of it.
That was hard. Like when I got a paycheck in England, I was like, almost half of it was going to taxes.
Well, you
and you still have to pay to park to go to the beach.
So that was a lot. But.
Did you feel like the government there was functioning better? Like you could access the police, obviously you shared your perspective on healthcare, but access other services better than our system here?
That's a good question. I wouldn't say so.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was I
wouldn't say it was any
better.
Yeah.
Interesting. What were the services that you'd want to access if you ever did over there?
Over there.
The movies I watched.
Transportation.
Okay.
Transportation. I think the transportation's really good in London. You have no one really has very few people have cars who live sort of in the city. And public transportation's good. I mean, you would take a bus, a tube, and then another bus.
A tube?
A tube is the
underground.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You blow up your floaty.
Just float down the Thames.
So and I would take the bus to work, and it was just easier really, and
your taxes paid for all that.
Yeah. Well, no. You would pay a bus fare.
Yeah. But I think it helped to run it.
Yeah. But then you have the maintenance. Like they would always put the prices up because they need to sort of, obviously there's always stuff going wrong and need to fix things. And
so you buy a travel. Well, you would buy a travel card, and then they would usually do. It was called an Oyster card. I never knew why it was called Oyster.
It's a great name, isn't it? I don't know why it's
at least for London. In London, it's called an Oyster card. I think in different cities they have different ones. Yeah. But so you buy that, and then you tapped into the tube station or onto the bus, and the money would get deducted. Or if you had a travel card, then it would cover your fare. I would usually buy a weekly travel card because I had to use so much transportation. But
but the buses were so frequent, and the tubes were so frequent as well. So you could you could get you get across London sort of at night on a night bus, or night buses. You would just But so that was good, and. The accessibility of the transport was really good, I thought.
Yeah, but that was the main service I think that we used when we lived. In England, I don't know, we didn't. I mean, we used healthcare, but we never had to call. We didn't have a need for the police or anything.
Police or ambulance are fine.
Yeah, but you would see them doing their job.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Did you feel like it was safer there, less crime, the same amount?
No,
probably more crime there than here.
But it's a city, it's
we're a city.
Yeah, well, it's definitely not like London. It's not a city.
24 hour. Yeah, London's like a 24-hour city where there's just it's a bit like
bigger and
New
there's
York,
way more
city
people.
That never
Yeah,
sleeps, really is. Or is that Las Vegas? I can't remember.
I don't know.
Las Vegas. I don't know. Interesting. I don't remember that song, but there's a lot of hustle and bustle really, and I think therefore more crime really. But
you guys are talking about the difference between England, Hawaii, and the pros and cons of a free market versus state-led wealth redistribution. And I'm going to side on the free market side. It sounds like there's a lot more benefits, a lot more flexibility, a lot more efficiency. And so everybody who's listening and watching, you can be encouraged that I'm going to continually vote for free market because I believe that that's been proven as a better model across multiple states and multiple countries. Yeah. But is there anything you guys think that we should change in Hawaii?
Change in Hawaii.
I don't know. Oh, sorry, we hit our time.
Well, we're almost done, so I'll just finish this out.
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining us. You can join us every Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on 690 AM, 94.3 FM. The Answer. Aloha.
Aloha.